Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for Memria and also Prof. Rudy for all of the guidance in this semester, so that in this occasion I could present it to you my research proposal. So my name is Savio Chandra Yubawa, and my research proposal's title will be the influence of support and prohibition on shaping character development in N.H. Kleinbaum's Dead Poet Society. So, Dead Poet Society, penned by N.H. Kleinbaum, released in 1989, talking about the journey of a group of boys in traditional all-boy preparatory school. This narrative delves into the theme of tug-of-war between authority and freedom. The narrative centers on Mr. Keating, an unconventional English teacher who inspires his students to embrace his passion. His philosophy of starkly contrast in rigid values and authoritarian expectation imposed by their parents and school. So this study aims to analyze on how the interaction between support and prohibitions shape the behavior and development of the main characters in the novel. This research will employ a qualitative research using textual analysis and narratology methods to examine the struggle with these external influences. By examining the struggle with these external influences, this research will highlight how such treatments contribute to empowerment and oppression. While previous research has focused on themes of conformity and rebellion, it seeks to delve deeper into the dual forces of support and prohibition and their impact on character behavior. Through this analysis, the research will provide a more comprehensive understanding of the novel exploration of freedom, control, and self-expression enlightenment to the readers. So here's my research questions. In here I have two research questions. The first one is how different forms of support and prohibitions shape in the character development in Dead Poet Society. And the second question is in what form is each character's development shaped in the novel. Move on to my research objective, which would be the answer for my research question, and also would be the theoretical foundation that my theoretical framework for what will I do to this research. So the first objective is to examine the existence of different supports and prohibitions in the Dead Poet Society, and the second one is to investigate what influences the supports and prohibitions have on the characters in the novel. Move on to the significance of the research. The first one is the contribution to the understanding of character development in the literature work. So this research seeks to advance the understanding of the impact of support and prohibition on character development in Dead Poet Society. The study will illustrate how power relations are narrative devices and fundamental mechanism facilitating characters' emotional and psychological growth within their contextual frameworks. And then the second one is further exploration of N.H. Kleinbaum. So this research presents a new perspective on Kleinbaum's Dead Poet Society by highlighting the complex dynamics of power relation and their effect on characters' transformation. It examines on how the relational power among peers, parents, and institutional authorities influences individual development. The analysis emphasizes the emotional and social aspect in the novel, exploring how power shaped individual choices, interactions, and aspirations. My third significance of the research is to provide the insight to the influence of support and prohibition on the peers. So, this research explored the dual effect of support and prohibition in peer relationship as portrayed in Dead Poet Society. It delves on how these dynamics influence of the character decisions, emotional development, and sense of agency. Through an analysis of peer interactions, this study highlights the critical role of support in nurturing courage, and self-discovery while illustrating how prohibition can impede or redirect individual aspirations. This perspective emphasized the importance of social dynamics in character development and their broader implication for understanding human behavior in literature. Next, will be my the previous studies that I found. The first one is Characters Education in the Dead Poets Society film by Prasanthi, Hidayat, and Ambraini. And then Electionary Acts of Main Characters in Dead Poets Society and Freedom Riders by Etika Rahmawati, Ishkat, and Adiastri Nasrullah. And then Learning to Think, the Territorialization in Mona Lisa Smile and Dead Poet Society by Arya Vijay and Bhuvaneswari R. And then Analysis of Speak Edge Acts in Dead Poet Society by Khairunisa Rumaira. And then Evaluating a Self-Determination Theory-Based Preventive Parenting Consultation, The Parent Check-In by Alan E.S., Krolnik W.S., and Cordova J.V. And then The Response of Teenage Anxiety to Parents' Wishes in Dead Poet Society, and Negeri Lima Menara by Sari A.M.P. and Sari U.R. And then Air yang Kultural dan Ideologis, Konstruksi Naratorologis Kuala dalam Hikayat Parang Puting by Windayanto R.N.A. And then Self-Determination Theory and the Facilitation of Intrinsic Motivation, Social Development, and Well-Being by Ryan R.M. and Desi E.L. And then the last studies that I found is that Peer Support and Self-Determination and Treatment Engagement, Qualitative Investigation by Jones and Corrigan P.W., James D., Parker J., and Larson N. Move on to the theoretical foundation. In here, I'm using the theory from Mike Bowles about narratology, which this defined as an understanding on how stories are constructed and how they convey meaning. So this theory have 4 aspects, which is vocalization, actors versus characters, event and story, and time and plot structures. So the first one is vocalization, which is defined as a character's perspective that reveals feelings. This aspect could be internal through the character's perspective or external, which is outside the observer's perspective. As explained, the use of this aspect in the research shows the viewpoint of such characters as how they support and prohibition occurred in the narrative. The second one is actors versus characters. So Bowles differs. So in this aspect, Bowles differs between actors and characters regarding their internal and external traits. Actors are defined as individuals who perform action without depth. And then in the internal part, characters are defined as the internal traits of how one develops motivations, backgrounds, and complexity. The use of this aspect of this research is how the evolving character could be built through such actors, which can bring them to the development of characters with personal motivations and struggles. The next one is event and story, which is also kind of similar to actors and characters. The event and story also differentiated. In Bowles' theory, an event is defined as the actions on or occurrences in the story. Then the event is constructed, there is the story. The story is defined as how these events are organized to create meaning. And then the last aspect is time and plot structure. These two are defined as the temporal order, duration, and frequency of events that could shape the reader's understanding of the narrative. The other definition is that the event timing in the story could build up the character's inner conflict. So this foundation will be examines the characters in Dead Poets Society as they navigate their identities while facing both encouragement and disapproval from external sources. And then here's my theoretical framework. Of course, first thing to do is to do an textual analysis, which in this part I would read the book first, and then I'm trying to do more read and do the close reading, and I will highlight all of the data that I need, and then after that I found all of the data, this data will be differentiated between three aspects, which is identifying focalizers and perspective, and then actors versus characters, and support and prohibition event. And then after that, the data will be analyzed to create an interpretation of the resolution and its impact on characters. Move on to the research methodology. This research used a qualitative approach which primarily focused on analyzing the influence of support and prohibitions and their impact on character development in literary texts. This method allows for studying the character development depicted in the novel Dead Poet Society. This study employs a qualitative approach to explore how supportive and prohibitive influences shape character in Dead Poet Society using a text analysis methodology. This research aims to identity, interpret, and analyze the role of these forces within the narrative, with particular emphasis on their impact on character development. The primary data source for this investigation is the novel Dead Poet Society, with analysis guided by Mike Paul's framework of narratology. This method involves meticulously examining the text to uncover how supportive and prohibitive events are structured, articulated, and presented, and how these elements transform character from passive participant into more complex individual. And then the last one is data analysis technique. Dead Poet Society itself is used as the primary source of data for this study. The research will look attentively at the text to find the elements of support and prohibition that occurred. Other materials, such as critical articles and earlier research on the Dead Poet Society, will be examined to set the scene and bolster the study. To provide context for the findings, this study will analyze the roles of support and prohibition in Dead Poet Society compared to the other contemporary literary works that delve into personal growth and societal pressure themes. The review integrates perspective on autonomy, relationship, freedom, character development, and power dynamics to create a strong foundation for narrative analysis. These studies highlight the complex interactions among relational and structural forces that influence individual growth, offering a multi-dimensional lens for examining the text. Yeah, so I think that's all for my research presentation, and I hope that will be clear enough. So, and lastly, if you have some question and also some insights that will be helpful for my research. I guess that's all. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.